when you come up with an idea, typically you start broad and then you have to focus it. So like I said, solid idea, focused and actionable. Nung nagpi-PhD po ako, ang tinuro sa akin ng aking PhD advisor ay, when you're pitching an idea, your idea is not solid yet if your panel asks you, okay, this is your proposed research topic. What's the first set of experiments that you will do tomorrow if we give you the funding? Kapag hindi mo yung nagawa, hindi pa solid yung idea mo. Hindi pa siya ganun ka-actionable. Yun po talaga ang usually basehan ng seasoned scientist kapag yung idea na pinopropose mo is already developed. Alright? Again, actionable, clear, and relevant. And yung process po na to requires deductive reasoning, no? Since we start thinking broadly, but you have to come up with a way to unpack that particular topic in a way na makaka-identify ka ng specific problems or challenge points and translate them into questions that you will answer as you prepare, as you conduct your research. So how does review literature get structured? So ito po, pag-uusapan po natin yan mamaya. Meron po tayong mga tips on how to do that. All right. So for example po, ito yung gagamitin ko to contextualize the next slide. So again, very important to clearly identify the problem. So project ideas and solutions should be designed around a relevant, medyo naulit yung sinabi ko sa nakaraang slide. So for example, this is a situation. I synthesized gold nanoparticles on graphene. But then I also read that several studies revealed that gold nanoparticles have medicinal applications such as anti-cancer treatment. So now my question is, can my materials be used for the same application? So you can actually start that way. Ito medyo broad pa rin to, no? Kasi ang tanong lang, pwede ko bang i-apply ito sa anti-cancer research? But then, as you develop your topic, what you have to do is, you have to learn more about the field, right, of anti-cancer. So if you pick that topic up with a fellow student or a collaborator, if you're a teacher and you would like to recruit the help of your student in refining this idea, minsan yung conversation develops this way. So sasabihin ng isa, I read that gold nanoparticles are anti-cancer agents. So I learned that uniformity of size and geometry of these nanoparticles improve their efficacy. However, these materials are expensive to make. So as a potential drug, the synthesis process adds significantly to its cost. So meaning, mahal daw kapag kinokontrol mo yung size at shape ng nanoparticles. But then, as we develop the idea, your collaborator might end up coming across information that would inform you that based on the paper that he read, that claimed that size and shape uniform silver nanoparticles were synthesized using a method that is cheap and under mild conditions, your collaborator then came up with a modification, if you will, saying that like since gold and silver have similar chemistries or properties, perhaps we can adapt this approach to address the challenge you shared. So ano ba nangyari dito? So how did they come up with a better understanding of the field and potential methods or solutions to their challenges? Ano ba yung ginawa nila dito? So technically, what those two did was they reviewed the literature and they used the information that they got from the literature first to refine the problem that they're trying to solve. So meron silang specific question like, can they make size and shape controlled or uniform nanoparticles, and then can they make it cheap? And then in the process of reading the literature, the other person came up with a potential way by which they can control the size and shape in a way that is cheap. So yun nangyari doon. So what they did, what was crucial there was the review of literature, review of scientific literature. And again, you have to exert significant effort in your review of literature for you to be able to refine your idea and come up with specific questions, and most importantly, potential solutions. Okay? And I would like to highlight on this slide that literature review is a step that can serve as a training ground for your students to learn how to formulate research questions. Okay? Yung review of literature po, hindi lang siya yung magbabasa lang ako. No. As they read, they have to consume and analyze the information, and in the process, come up with questions. Okay? Yun po yun. Hindi yung, ang review of literature po, gusto ko pong i-debunk sa ating understanding na hindi lang po yan na nagko-collect tayo ng information na mukhang related and then pagsasama-samahin lang po natin yan. Hindi po ganun ang review of literature. You are using it for you to formulate better questions and for you to come up with an actionable plan on how you are going to answer those questions. Okay. So review of literature, kung lalabas po sa screen ang okay, medyo hindi po visible. Meron po kami diyang training course, meron po kaming webinar on the review of literature po featuring Dr. Janice Averilla, who's a scientist based in upstate New York. Nandyan din po ako. So you may want to review that on PhilSci-Hub's YouTube channel. So doon po kami nagbigay ng kumbaga more specific steps or approaches on how to review the literature. But then what I would just like to highlight is in comparison po, from the time that I was a thesis research or undergraduate researcher in UP, nag-explode na po yung access, yung kumbaga avenues for you to access information because of information technology. So you have databases such as like Google Scholar or ResearchGate, and like freely accessible or open access journal publication. So gamitin po natin yan. But then also at the same time, I also highly encourage for you to inform your students that wag po natin i-take for granted ang books at saka yung thesis or prior works, yung printed versions of studies. Kasi po, the more materials that you can access, mas magiging robust po yung view nyo of the field kasi mas kompleto, mas updated, and then again, don't take for granted old but highly reliable bodies of study. Now, what I would also encourage for you all to do is sa Pilipinas po kasi nasanay lang tayo dyan sa mga ganyan published journals na from academics or peer-reviewed publications, but then hindi po tayo din masyadong sanay sa non-traditional sources of information. Non-traditional sources of information. Teka, nag-meeting po ako ng... So non-traditional sources of information such as patents or intellectual properties. So I would also highly encourage for you to learn how to read patents. So meron din po kami webinar sa Filipino Science Hub focusing on this. Part din po ng webinar on review of literature. But then actually yung pong patents are a very good source of information, lalong-lalo na kung gusto nyo mag-invento, kung lalo nyo if you would like to innovate or come up with a new technology, because marami pong mga cutting-edge technologies and discoveries na hindi pinapublish sa academic journals. The fastest way for you to learn of them is by reading patents. Nandyan po talaga yung, kumbaga, state-of-the-art systems na hindi po openly pinapublicize ng mga kumpanya just because pag naintindihan nyo na yun sa academic journals, edi yung competition nila mas magiging stiff. So, patents are also a very good source of information. Okay, so as I said po, yung review of literature is your key to formulating research questions and better contextualizing your idea. So what I will do here po is give you some tips, and ipapakita ko po sa inyo mamaya kung paano nyo ba gagamitin yung information that you get from the literature in order for you to come up with a good conceptual framework or yung sa introduction natin and yung justification ng study. So papasadahan lang din po natin to ng medyo mabilis. So una po, as you formulate your research questions or your research problem, establish the need for addressing the problem. Secondly, you have to highlight or the ideal state versus the current state. So meaning, ano ba yung state of the art? Ano ba yung pinakamaganda ng nagawa? And by learning that, may isip mo rin, okay, ito na yung pinakamaganda. Ano pa yung kulang? Ano pa yung hindi nila nagagawa? That is a way of framing your research problem. And that could be a specific question that you can answer as you perform the research. Formulating your research questions as well could also involve asking your 5W questions. Okay, who's involved? Like what is the problem? Where is this problem? When is the solution most critical? And then why are we really performing this research? But then as you formulate your research question, so you have a topic or an idea, when you are refining your idea, again, dapat may kaakibat yan na specific question na sasagutin mo. And your research questions po that you're formulating are also the basis for your research objectives. At the end of your research, yun po inyong research questions or research objectives should be answered by your data. Okay, so for example, during the pandemic, okay, doon sa ginawa kong example, a very broad topic na pwede maging starting point is I would like to perform anti-cancer research. But then yung napakita ko sa inyong comic strip kanina, nag-progress yung conversation in such a way that they narrowed their research topic down to, okay, we would like to develop cost-effective and size and shape uniform gold nanoparticles as anti-cancer drugs. And then, for example, in this context, in mice. So makikita nyo na yung topic na yon is clear, actionable, and then just like from the choice of subject, makikita mo that it's an anti-cancer research, an anti-cancer agent. So then makikita, ay, this is going to be highly relevant in the field of health and medicine. Okay?